Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the first Monday night live stream of 2023. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas break. I hope some of you are still having a bit of a Christmas break and not back to work yet. I know my wife, she's off for like another week. The little one's off for another week with school as well. So we're trying to kind of do some family stuff this week. So yes, welcome everyone. How was your New Year's? Did you play any games? Did you get any hobbying over those couple of kind of quieter days? Did you get any hobbying today? I'm assuming most of you are still off work today. Let me know what you've all been up to. Let me know what your New Year's resolutions are, all that kind of stuff. Let's get all them out of the way at the start of the chat, and then we can crack on. But let's have a look. Let's see who we've got tonight. Super Pumpkin Manny, nice and early. Good afternoon or good morning to you, I should say. Oh, it's afternoon for you now. It was morning when you said that. Hello to you, buddy. Type 40 TARDIS, good evening to you as well, and Happy New Year. We've got Major Tom in. Good evening, sir. How you doing? Ed, Christian. Nice to see you, fella, and Happy New Year to you and the family as well. Mighty Dice says, evening all. Hope everyone had a good Christmas and Happy New Year. Hello, Zingbo. Hello to you. Ryan Barry. Happy New Year to you too, son. And we've got, I'm scrolling down. Robert Zonk. Nice to see you in, fella. How are you doing? Lazy Pirate Painting. Good evening, sir. Colin Max says, I'm here for the legacy. Well, I'm here. And you're here. So what else do we need? We've got John Estleton, evening all. He hopes everyone's doing well. And he's feeling on the mend from one of those stinking colds going round. I, touch wood, managed to escape it. My wife has been had a proper barking cough for about 3 weeks. Not really feeling particularly ill. Just getting a bit tired of her own cough, really, which because it was keeping her up at night, she wasn't getting a lot of sleep. And the little one kind of had one as well. And I was thinking, I bet mine comes for New Year. I bet I end up being laid up in bed for New Year's Eve. I've been fine. Touch wood. I think I've managed to escape the worst of it. So, yes, long may that continue. Alex Berry, hello to you, mate. How are you doing, fella? Mark Wright, good evening to you. VJ, good morning, sir. How are you doing? I'm assuming that you're getting ready to put your feet up and have a little bit of a relax after a bit of a busy Christmas and New Year work-wise for you. Skulldoggery, Happy New Year to you as well. Good afternoon. Jez Hunt, Happy New Year as well, mate. We got Colin Wakeland, good evening to you. Of course, the screen just jumped up there. Let me find where we were up to. We're back again. Wayne Haywood, Happy New Year to you as well, sir. Tony Howell says, hello, my lovelies. Nice to see you in, Tony. Tiny War Games, hello, fella. Nice to see you in the chat tonight. Colin says he's off until the 16th, and he played the Top Gun board game and some Hero Quest. What did you think of the Top Gun board game, mate? I have seen that. I think it's something that sometimes crops up in sort of bookshops and supermarkets and things as well. Obviously because of the license and the brand name, if you like. But I do wonder what it's like. Skulldoggery says, the last long break I had from work, I didn't get to paint much. This one's been much better for hobby time, thankfully. That's good to hear, mate. I'll be honest, I have not done much hobby over the Christmas. I've intentionally kind of took a little bit of a break, kind of stepped back a bit and spent some time with the little one and sort of been to see the kids and had a couple of nights out and just tried to kind of relax a little bit. I have been doing a lot of 3D printing, so we'll come on to that at some point because that was kind of a bit of a plan. But we'll come back to that later on. But yeah, I don't think I've played the game. I don't think I've picked up a mini to paint. Certainly haven't picked up a paintbrush. So yes, I've had a bit of a break. Let's have a look. Jess says, I'm currently working. Laughter turn into tears. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Rob's putting these pirates together. Marco, nice to see you as well, fella. Happy New Year. Tony Booth Leiden, hello, sir. May 2023 be kind to you too. Grey Knight, good evening. Nice to see you in there. Andrew Fairbanks, this is the YouTube algorithm gods pointed you out today. Well, once in a blue moon is never a bad thing, is it? Liam Fishwick, hello, buddy. How are you doing? Type 40 TARDIS says he rang in the new year playing a huge triple threat Rumble Slam match with two good friends. That can't be too bad, mate, can it? Sounds nice. Where are we going? The Sunderland, hello to you, mate. How are you doing? Colin says, make sure it's cold and not COVID. Oh, nah, she's been fine, mate. She's done all that tests and all that kind of stuff. She was testing like when there was like Christmas parties and all that kind of stuff. She's been testing the whole time. Super Punker Man says we need bacon. I did have a bacon sandwich this morning actually, which was quite nice. Not this morning, I had one for lunch. One of my sons came and stayed over last night. We kind of just played some video games last night, and then he had a bit of a lie-in, and then when he got up at lunchtime, we had bacon sandwiches, which was nice. Highland Fair on, good evening to you as well, and Happy New Year. Super Pumpkin Man says he got some terrain painted, as you will see in my monthly painting submission. Yes, folks, we do have all of the painting submissions from December's monthly challenge, so we'll be showing those off tonight. There's not a huge amount this month. I didn't expect it to be fair. People are kind of busy when it comes to December, so it's very much understandable. Explore Norfolk, good evening to you as well. Tony says, good to see that we're watching the real BlackJack and not that imposter who's been cropping up recently. Yeah, for some reason YouTube's decided to kind of share some of my old videos for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, they're more than welcome to do so. But in fact, share the new ones and the old ones. I don't really mind where the views come from. Where are we up to here? Let me scroll down. Colin says it was oddly tactical for the second phase. I'm sure I've heard something about it where it's actually pretty good. It kind of triggered a bit of a memory there, but excuse me. Bobby Clark, hello to you, mate. Happy New Year, sir. Says he's currently filling his 40k Panini sticker book. It's like being a kid again. I did see that sticker book a while ago in like B&M bargains, kind of for sale, and I thought, do I? No, that's a slippery slope. VG says, I wish I was getting to relax. 3 days of solid studio work before back onto it for another 3-show weekend. We'll get a break after that. Well, you deserve to put your feet up after that, mate. Tony says, hasn't picked up a brush since November, but started painting again on New Year's Eve with a Delac gang member. The rest to follow. Very nice, mate. But sometimes you need a bit of a break, don't you? Sometimes it's not always about that. And VG saying, yeah, make here, as they say. Need to fund my trip back to the UK. Yes, you do. Mark says he played an escape room game over Christmas. Really good game. I do love an escape room game. Jess says, hopefully this is the last bit of the job and I can actually have a break for a few weeks. That would be nice. That would be nice, mate. Waffles Enjoyer, good evening. He says, what are your hobby resolutions? I tend not to make them, mate. I tend not to make hobby resolutions on even New Year's resolutions because I kind of figure that I'll either do them or I'll break the resolution. I don't feel like I need to kind of force myself to do something different. But I think I would say, I'm saying I don't really make them. If I was going to kind of sort of have one, I think it would be around making sure that my hobby this year really is focused around the stuff that I enjoy and the things that excite me, and not feel that I should do certain things just because I think some video will do better, or because my hobby and my job are kind of one and the same. I do try to keep little bits and pieces which are just for me, and I don't talk about them on social media, and I don't kind of have them on the channel and things. But it's very hard for me to... it's impossible, in fact, for me to kind of completely separate hobby and work, because I just like... For all I do things for the channel and stuff like that, I do them in my hobby time as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I enjoy doing them. Therefore, like, I'll do them on an evening. It's so either I never stop working, which is one way to look at it, or I get a hobby for a job, which I think is mentally a better way to look at it. So yeah, I want to focus on the stuff that I'm really interested in, the stuff that floats my boat, the stuff that really gets the juices flowing this year. I had a bit of a kind of a wobble last year where I was thinking, you know, it's a business. I need to kind of try and focus on the important stuff. I need to try and focus on more popular stuff. I think this year is going to be very different. Gary Jensen, good evening, mate. How are you doing? We've got Eldon Terrell says, Happy New Year. He painted his first miniatures in 15 years over the holidays. Congratulations, my friend. RG says, evening. He said he's not going back to next Monday. Not going back next Monday. Been playing a lot of Final Girl and Punishing, but has lots of replayability. It's a game I've not played, mate, but I do love the sound of it. Tiny War Game says his New Year's resolution: do more hobbying, as did nothing last year. That's always a good place to start, mate. At least doing some is better than doing none, isn't it? Mini Wormwood says, Happy New Year, now back to work. Ed says, are we hearing the January challenge tonight? I'm looking forward to find out how you are going to get me painting all Citadel metal this time. We should be sharing it tonight, mate. I'll be perfectly honest, I kind of forgot I'm supposed to be coming up with one tonight, but we've got plenty of time. I'm sure something will crop up before the end of the show. Andrew Fairbanks says he's done painting the new house, moving in next week. Congratulations, mate. Always better to kind of to get those jobs out of the way when you're not kind of in and around it, isn't it? Let's have a little look. Explorer Norfolk saying currently painting one of the Trish Carden's Harrowhurst Range Cyclops. Lovely sculpt from her. You should maybe get her on here sometime. I'll be honest, mate, I've never heard of her. I'm not really sure who that is. I'll have to do a bit of research. VJ saying, I was chatting about these house move. Tony said, I think my only hobby resolution will be to keep it fun, off the wall, and keep going for over ambitious hobby terrain. Very nice. Tiny War Games, thank you so much for the super chat there, mate. It says, how's it going? It's going very well, thanks for asking, mate. I'm not sure if there's any, I don't think there was any text pop up on the screen there, was there? But yeah, thanks very much. I really do appreciate that, mate. VJ says he went for his first morning run of 23, a 60-minute round trip to the beach and back. Very nice. Jez is saying his resolutions work on an interesting screen job. Paint more minis, make more terrain, play more games. Terrain is something that's really kind of scratching my itch at the minute. And it folds in with the 3D printing stuff I was talking about. I saw some pictures recently of kind of a lot of like 40k tables and things, and for some reason 40k games seem to have a lot of L-shaped flat building terrain. And whilst I'm sure it's very practical, it doesn't get my creative juices flowing. Now I don't play 40k, so it's irrelevant to me a little bit. But the idea of having beautiful looking tables, even if I don't get to play it as often as I would like to, the idea of having beautiful looking tables to really feed into that is something that's kind of getting me excited at the minute. So terrain, I think, is something that's going to be on the cards a lot more through 2023 for me. VGC and Final Girls, fantastic game, love it. VG, he's saying the January challenge is something with bacon in it, or just plain bacon maybe. Explore Novice says Trish Carden, Trish Morrison, XGW, absolute legend. XGW stuff, mate. I don't really know much about those folks who are XGW. I've never really been into GW stuff that much. I certainly didn't get into tabletop gaming until much later in my life, so I don't remember any of the original kind of artists and sort of sculptors or any of that kind of stuff. It's not really on my radar. Super Pumpkin Man saying, be kind and don't forget to drop a like. It always helps. Thank you very much. Luke Pryor, what's up, Buttercup? Hello, fella, how you doing? Rob Zunk saying his hobby resolution is to try not to miss too many live chats. That's something I can get behind, mate. Welcome tonight, and thank you for dropping in. Skulldoggy says, one goal for me is to put together and paint some terrain this year. I've never made any, even scatter. I'm not a massive sort of fan personally, like of my own hobby of making terrain, like scratch build. It's not something I'm very good at. I don't have a lot of skills in that department. It's one of the reasons why the 3D printing stuff's really scratches my itch when it comes to that. And I'll be chatting about that in the future. I'm just looking over here because I'm in the middle of kind of sort of building a really big 3D printing piece of terrain at the minute, and the idea behind it is going to be like it's for a video. I want to talk about like kind of the biggest sort of piece of terrain I've ever printed, or my biggest ever 3D print, or anything like that kind of stuff. But it's looking pretty awesome. Let's have a little look here. RG saying not done a New Year's resolution, but went the new way, doing a don't do list. The big one, not to waste time doing things I'm not enjoying because I feel I should do it. I think that's something that everybody could follow, mate. It's a strange one, and it's something I might talk about in future videos or maybe future live streams. But I do feel that there is a lot of that in the tabletop hobby. I almost feel that people are like, they want to feel part of something even though they don't necessarily enjoy it, and I think it runs a lot deeper than just tabletop stuff, but I see it a lot in the tabletop stuff because that's what I'm kind of involved in. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Luke's ashamed of myself not doing anything for the last 2 challenges, just too much stuff on. There's nothing wrong with that, mate. If you're busy, you're busy. That's fine. Ed saying the problem with fancy tables is they often get in the way of playing games. Ed, I think me and you play games very differently. I'm not that fussed about them being mega competitive. I'm not that fussed about them being sort of playing to the fine nth degree of the rules. I'd rather I have a fun game with somebody I enjoy playing with, and that it looks pretty cool, and I get to put my nice painted models on a beautiful looking table. And I think some people prefer the game like the way some people play when they've got like neoprene kind of hills and neoprene matte trees, and it's about precise movement and everything's about being exact. I just want to have nice looking tables and nice looking, like, I want a visual experience. That to me is worth way more than just being able to be very precise about stuff. John says your resolution should be for every live stream that's on 100% attendance. Your resolution should be for every live stream that's on 100% attendance. The problem is, mate, is that there's Mondays I can't do a live stream. Like if I'm on holiday with a family, like I know, for example, it's my sons, my oldest sons, my twins, it's their 21st birthday this year, and I'm going to be taking them away for their 21st birthday. So there is definitely one Monday that I would miss. So I always do as many as I can, but things crop up, unfortunately. Jez says, I bought Kings of War new big book, so going to start a goblin army and make terrain around it as a good excuse. Anything that gets the juices flowing, mate, I think it is a good excuse. RG says, for example, he's now got 4 painting projects on the go, and I flip between them depending on my mood. Planes, character pieces, board game minis, and armies. That's the way to do it, mate. Christian sharing the link there for the Patreon as well, from as little as $2 a month. $2 a month. That's absolutely nothing these days, folks. With the cost of living the way things are at the moment, and inflation and everything else, what does $2 buy you now? $2 probably buys you, it probably buys me half a cup of coffee these days. So yes, if you would like to support the channel, it's massively appreciated. Tony says, I scratch build geek. I really should take another look at 3D printers, or maybe I could have some value now. It's something I want to talk about, like, in a bit more in-depth, and I don't think it's maybe the one for a live stream, mate. It's probably one where I can spend some time and show examples on a video and things. But there's obviously a couple of ways of doing it. There's like resin printers where you can sort of print small bits and pieces. I mean, you can get big resin printers, but it becomes quite expensive and stuff to start building there, to start printing off. And they're also not that kind of hard-wearing, if you like. You know, you don't want a big resin building that if you knock it off the table, it's going to smash into 1,000 pieces. So there's a real balance to it. But I think the quality of sort of FDM or the plastic printing is, I think it's much better than I anticipated it being, and that's surprised me the most, I think. Skulldoggery says, I'm leaning more towards 3D printed terrain myself. Once I get an FDM printer going, I used to make fursuits, so I have to wonder how much that experience transfers over to terrain. I think lots of it will, mate. Jess says, I love the spectacle of a nice table with minis on. I think it's one of those things. I mean, there's definitely there's merit to if you're playing in a competitive environment, whether it be a tournament or whether you like to play like very kind of sort of seriously, like with your opponent. There's a lot to be said about not having terrain that gets in the way of the game, if you like, because the game is the rules are the most important thing for what you're playing. But just for me personally, I mean, I'm not worried about winning. I play so infrequently that it's more about, like, I get more enjoyment from playing it on a cool table kind of thing. And if it becomes a bit of a problem, you just move stuff around, like lift stuff out of the way. It's not the end of the world. It's meant to be a bit of fun. Super Punky Man says, one of my few resolutions this year is not to wait until the last minute to finish my painting challenges and to photograph them. Shall I give you an earlier deadline, mate, and then that'll give you a little bit of a buffer? RG says, nice looking tables. Ronnie Wendell will be happy. John Binham, good evening, mate. How you doing? He says, didn't you used to play War Machine, Andy? How did you find the very functional scenery in those games? To be honest, mate, when I first started playing games, it's a mix of stuff. So when I used to play Malifaux, which was the first game I really played seriously, we used to have some beautiful tables. Like, we all kind of made bits of terrain. I kind of scratch built a whole table of terrain with like WorldWorks Games cardstock stuff. before the advent of 3D printers, and I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of kind of sculpting things myself and stuff. We had a mixture of like bits and pieces. We played in a lot of tournaments where there's some beautiful tables. I played a tournament game like where it was like in a dungeon type thing, and it was really really interesting to play against. When I got to the War Machine stuff, to be honest, the people I played with, generally outside of tournaments, actually like put terrain on the board. We had trees and we had kind of walls and stuff, and we had like that kind of bits of terrain. When you got to events, or you got to like sort of like the British Championships and stuff, it was a bit more functional. But to be honest, at that point I wasn't really playing. I was playing a lot, and actually at that point in time the game itself was probably just as important or more important than the hobby side of things. I was at a point in time where I was enjoying the trips away with the guys I was playing with. The game was kind of sort of almost allowing me to do that. I was putting a lot of games in. I was enjoying the competitive aspect. So back then, I mean, and we are going back. I mean, God, we're going back 15 years probably at least. I'm trying to think how long ago it was. We're going back a hell of a long time anyway. I mean, I'm trying to think how old, my kids are 21 this year, my oldest lads, and I'm trying to think. Well, it was certainly, oh my God, I'm trying to think. I think I'm going back about between 13 and 15 years ago. So my hobby has changed. The way I like to play games has changed. Like the fact that I have access to things like 3D printers now, which allow me to make beautiful terrain, sort of like piques my interest in a different way. I spend more time like immersing myself. Like, I think the difference is these days is I have less time to devote myself to kind of one game and really get myself into the rules and become competitive. So therefore I prefer the visual aspect, because that's where my hobby is, in building, in making or painting terrain, or in painting miniatures and just making a table look nice kind of thing. I think that's the big difference. VJ says, little guy down at grandparents for 2 weeks for being child free for a bit. It's nice to, I mean, we all love our kids, but it's nice to have a little break now and again. Tony said, I do enjoy getting stuck in with craft skills to scratch build, but there might be room to revisit an evaluation of a 3D printer. To be honest, I mean, like I say, mate, we'll chat about it in a future spot, but depending upon what you're trying to do, I don't think they're the all-encompassing hobby that a lot of people will make them out to be. I think some people like to get really into them, but there's a lot of element of actually using them as a functional tool, in the same way you would like a foam cutter or something like that. You use it to do a particular job. Christian saying, January painting challenge, it begins. Paint your first miniature unit of the year, or crack open one of those games still sitting on your shelf. I think we might be using that one, mate. Thank you very much. Tiny War Games says, bought the Dice Men book, reading that at the minute. I saw a few people must have got that for Christmas. Quite a few folks getting signed versions and stuff. Ed saying, I do get that, but even playing casually, if you have multiple levels and such, it gets really fiddly to move models and check line of sight, even if you're not worried about strict accuracy. I think it depends on the game, mate, because multiple levels are a firm part of a lot of games. If you play Marvel Crisis Protocol, terrain is an important part of the game. Not only does it visually really set the scene, but terrain is destroyable. You can pick things up, you can throw the terrain, be that buildings, you can pick up cars, you can pick up opponents and throw them at the buildings and destroy bits and pieces. And there is advantages to being on top of a building versus being on the ground. So some games really do benefit from it. Think about things like Necromunda, things like Warcry. Those games really bake into the rules the idea of being up a height and falling down and that kind of stuff. So Dead Zone, another prime example. So some games having multiple levels, I think, is really into it. The games that don't benefit from multiple levels or don't really need multiple levels, then I don't necessarily play them as multiple levels. I just like, if it might be a nice big building, but it's just a block and piece of terrain in the grand scheme of things. It just looks nice. You know, we can quite easily say, you know, the doors are locked, you're not getting inside kind of thing. There's no access to the building. It's just there to look pretty, really. So I think you just make it work, mate. You make it work whichever way is best for you. John says, I couldn't find a good way to say it. Yeah, we all need holidays, but for when a live stream is on, you should be here. How do I don't think I've missed many Mondays. I think I mean, bear in mind I did Boxing Day this year or last year, and I'm doing today as well, which technically are bank holidays. The only ones I've missed have been the rare occasion, I think. But yeah, I will be here for as many Mondays as I can, as I have been over the last 5 years, something like that, doing live streams. Skulldoggy says, I've also seen people doing a hybrid approach to terrain, scratch built foundation with resin printed details and windows, which seems that it could have potential. I think for some folks it does. It's not where my interest is, and like I say, the things I'm going to be doing this year is the stuff that really interests me. Just building stuff from scratch. I don't really have the materials, I don't have the tools, I don't have the knowledge, and I think the biggest one is I don't really have the interest to learn all of that kind of stuff and buy all the bits and pieces of kit and all the kind of like the rollers and all that kind of stuff, like what they called, like the green stuff rollers and all that kind of thing. I'm not really into all that kind of stuff, and I'm also not really about making it look realistic. Like, it doesn't have to look like it doesn't have to look like the model railway guys kind of things. It doesn't have to be a really realistic looking kind of board. I'm quite happy with a gaming mat with like buildings and stuff on it, but I'd like the buildings to look good and a bit of scatter terrain and little bits of like sort of like is it lichen? Is that the right stuff? Like kind of like lying around to kind of make it look like bushes and things. Just that kind of stuff. Somlin says, last year I started to build my first own terrain pieces to create a nice looking table you talked about, Andy. I like to add another layer of creativity in my hobby, and it's easier than I expected. I just think it's one of those things that I've dabbled with in the past. It gives me a lot of enjoyment, and like at the end of the day, I'm going to be making videos. I'm going to be kind of like taking photographs of minis and having some nice terrain in the background. Never is like, it's a lot better than you just seeing the back wall or something when I'm taking a picture of a mini or something like that. Those kind of stuff make a bit of a difference. Gary says, I just finished some hive scum and a couple of brutes. Everything is varnished and the bases are edge painted. Now I just need to mount them. My favourite part, the finishing. Yeah, it's quite nice when it all comes together. Mighty Dice says, I've just bought my first piece of terrain since the old 40k battle bunkers with plastic bulkheads and cardboard. Some 15mm scale TT combat buildings. Yes, mate, nice. RG says, painting challenge always on track, and then it becomes a mad blind panic. I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've done a few. Paul Inman, good evening, mate. He says, competitive tables leave me cold. It always ends up looking like a paintball arena. Scenery is placed to block line of sight or provide an obstacle rather than to create a story, and it feels empty. For me, there's a huge visual element to wargaming. I enjoy looking at good wargaming tables on the same level as looking at model railways. There's a real artistry to them. There is an element of that, mate, and it's like, especially if you go to things like Salute and you're wandering around at the display tables and looking at those kind of things, they always look beautiful. If you're wandering around looking at games to be demoed, like, those companies generally have a really kind of a beautiful theme table. Like, for example, Tom Greenway from Moonstone, the Goblin King Games, they have an absolutely beautiful Moonstone demo table when they go to events. The guys at War Cradle always have fantastic, beautiful looking demo tables when it comes to Wild West Exodus, when it comes to Dystopian Wars. Like, that kind of stuff sells a game to me. Like, if I can look at something and it's kind of evocative of a story, or like I can kind of see what it's doing. I remember having a demo of War Machine at Salute one year. And, you know, it was on like a nice kind of display table, completely like impractical really for playing at like any kind of competitive level, but it looked beautiful, and it was part of the kind of selling the minis and selling the story and kind of selling the experience. So I agree with you, Paul. Ed says, Marvel Crisis Protocol cheats. All the terrain is actually flat from a mechanical perspective. It is, mate, but it's not in reality. You could say that from any game, really. Any game that doesn't use true line of sight, you could say well, just cut out a piece of paper and put it on the board. Like, so if it's not true line of sight, then it's fine. Like, for example, prime example, Dead Zone. Dead Zone is a terrain heavy game, but there's no kind of sort of it's well, there is, but it's a bit more objective, shall we say, the way you're like it's placement in a cube and things like that. But there's lots of games that where, like I say, if it doesn't have like sort of real line of sight, if you like, then it's just like Malifaux doesn't have real line of sight. Infinity technically doesn't have real line of sight. It works off cylinders of like the miniatures and things, but it doesn't look pretty, does it? Like, you could say that about terrain in the same way you could say that about the miniatures. We don't really need miniatures to play the games. We could just use tokens, but we don't. Do you know what I mean? Like the hobby is in the building and the collecting of the miniatures and the painting of the miniatures. In the same way, there's a hobby and a nice aspect to the building and the painting and the collecting of terrain as well. Tony says gets a buzz from seeing the delight on players' faces when they receive it. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Super Pokemon Man says I also need to cut my hair this year and donate it. I could give it a little bit. You could maybe have some from the back, mate, if we're going to start clubbing together. VG says Andy's commitment to regularity is better. Oh, that just jumped off my screen there. I don't know where that went. It's better than most streamers. I'd say only Adam matches him. I think there's a lot of folks who stream regularly, to be fair, mate. I don't really have a lot of spare time where I'm watching other streamers, so I can't really comment on kind of regularity or whether it's something that they drop in and out of or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, Uncle Adam definitely, mate. Definitely, yeah, is he does like every other Sunday, doesn't he? And I guess he does his Twitch stuff as well. Where are we up to here? Ed says, don't get me wrong, I love a dramatic layout as a displayer. Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, mate, there's a lot of elements of like my miniatures don't get played with as much as I would like to. So sometimes I've spent time where I've just put a nice looking table together and took some pictures because it looks cool. Do you know what I mean? So like there's elements of enjoyment just from that. Born to Lose, Live to Win says, hi Andy and all here. Happy New Year, chaps. Good evening and Happy New Year to you. Super Pokemon saying, second reason to play Kill Team or Warcry to get the terrain and take nice looking photos. Yeah, just what I was just saying there as well. RG saying the TT Combat Carnival table is gorgeous. It is actually. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of MDF terrain, if I'm perfectly honest. It tends to be very flat. However, there is some MDF terrain that looks really, really nice. The War Cradle MDF terrain, I think they do some really cool bits of tricks with like layering and stuff like that. That makes their MDF terrain look a lot more, or a lot less boxy, shall we say. The TT Combat stuff for Carnivale, or Carnival, it is Carnivale, isn't it? They're square box buildings really, so it works really well. It's just that there's MDF terrain for other systems or for other games, which ends up just looking like a kind of like a wooden box. But I think you're right. The stuff for Carnivale is excellent. A bit of chat there. Christian sharing the link there for the BlackJack Legacy hoodies and t-shirts. Thank you very much, mate. Zingbo says the stream was streaming, but YouTube decided not to play it for me. I thought Andy was missing. It's never me, mate. It's always YouTube. YouTube did something really weird the other week where it decided to just put the audio and the video like about a minute out from each other. Like somebody sort of commented in the comments saying, I think it's out of sync. And it's like, well, it definitely wasn't on the live stream. And it wasn't yesterday when I kind of checked something. And then it wasn't again a couple of days later. So I think YouTube's been having a little bit of a kind of a Christmas break as well. It says Kill Teams Into the Dark boards are a good example of good looking table that's practical to play on. Yeah, I mean, I'm not suggesting that kind of like it shouldn't be practical. Like sort of being able to play the game is important. If you physically can't play the game, that's a bit different, but that's not what I'm aiming for. Let's have a look. Ed saying Kill. Oh yeah, sorry, that's what I was just saying. Where was this? Liam Fishwick says, talking about amazing terrain. Go take a look at Rob Hawkins' blog. He builds demo tables for some big names. It's Rob Hawkins stuff that I've seen made. He did a really beautiful table for War Cradle, I think. And I'm trying to remember which one it was. It might be their swamp board or something like that. Or it might be the one that has like the steamboat on it. I forget. But yes, I have checked out Rob Hawkins stuff. I've seen some beautiful like Malifaux boards and stuff that are like based upon locations like within the stories, like the Hanging Tree and stuff like that. There's some beautiful stuff out there. Let's have a little look here. Christian saying, where was I've just read something there. Yeah, some of the best terrain tables I've seen and played on have been for Drowned Earth. Yeah, that's another one that really, really kind of like evocative game, and I almost feel like the game deserves to have good terrain to really kind of like to set it in the right setting. It wouldn't be right to just kind of play it on like, oh well, I've got this mat and I've got a couple of buildings we can use, like that'll do kind of thing. It's like it deserves a bit of love and attention. Paul saying, yeah, Dead Zone's a hard game to dress up. The terrain has a tendency to lean towards erratical rather than narrative. I always add more to the table than just the cubic terrain pieces. Yeah, I don't disagree, mate. It's something I chatted about recently, like about why, like sort of Dead Zone, why I prefer Firefight over Dead Zone, and the visual aspect of Dead Zone is one of the reasons that that it just doesn't gel with me really, is because it needs those cube buildings. And I think the stuff that Mantic make are fantastic. I think they work really well, and they look like that kind of like hab block, like sort of cityscapes. But every game looks the same. Like nobody really builds any terrain that doesn't have those 3-inch cubes. And so it doesn't matter. Like you'll see people making different boards for it, but every one of it is like it's a red version of the board, or a grey version of the board, or a blue version of the board. So I wouldn't disagree with you there, mate. Let's have a look. Born to Lose, Live to Win says, had a bit of a 40k burnout, still love it, but just bought myself Blood Red Skies today just to try something a bit different. I think that's the case for a lot of people with a lot of games, mate. I don't think it's necessarily just a 40k thing either. I think if you've played something and maybe only ever played that, or maybe played that exclusively, it should be the word I should have said. Maybe if you exclusively play one game, it's very easy to burn out on it, because you can just find, especially when you're painting an army maybe, or you're painting something like Space Marines, where it's essentially the same model over and over again. Like for a lot of people, I think you can kind of burn out on that. It's always good to kind of mix something up. It's one of the reasons why I couldn't like think that I would ever just play one game and one game only. I like to play lots of different games because it gives me that variety to kind of bounce around between stuff. Let's have a little look here. Rob Zung saying, most of the terrain I have is scratch built, but it took a lot of time and research watching YouTube how-to videos and such. But I like that aspect of the hobby. Yeah, and I think a lot of people do, mate. It's like I'm not really into like kit bashing miniatures and stuff like that. It's just not something that's really my kind of thing. Like I get quite a lot of enjoyment from actually like searching online for like the STL files for bits of terrain and stuff, and then actually just like and printing them out and seeing it come together and putting it together and building it up. I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to see it because it's part primed black at the moment. But one of the things I was doing a while ago was this house. Obviously, it's in the middle of getting ready for painting and stuff. But and I need to print off a couple more of these canopies for the trees and stuff as well. But this kind of like little witch's hut type thing with the tree growing out of it. Let me find a picture of it, and I will show you what it looks like when it's not. Witch hunt for wood. Why does that come up on there? There we go. There we go, folks. That's what the building looks like when it's not primed black. And yeah, and that's like that kind of thing that builds a lot of stories in my head. It's a line of sight blocking piece, or it's an obstruction on a board. It's not something that you could technically you can go inside it and lift the top of it, but I've just glued mine all together. I don't intend to play with the inside bits. But looking at that to me just fills me with stories basically. So like if I wanted to buy that building and like you've seen the kind of size of it. I mean, it's a decent size. I can imagine that would be quite expensive, but as it is, it was a cheap STL file, and it's going to cost me a little bit of plastic and a little bit of time, and it'll look great on the table. So I think there's elements of like that for me. I get a lot of enjoyment from just kind of from building that kind of stuff, like seeing it come together in that respect. I might not have physically built it with my own hands, but like there's an enjoyment to seeing that thing come off the printer, all done working, and seeing it come together. Paul saying, I tend to view MDF scenery as a skeleton. You buy it, build it, but you have to dress it as well. It can look really nice with a bit of effort. Yeah, and I think that's probably the point where for me it's not like I don't enjoy that kind of going the extra mile bit, which is why mine would generally look like a wooden box. But a lot of people's look like wooden boxes. That's the thing. RG says the TT Combat guys used a lot of resin to get the Venetian look. It was fixed, but if you're only using it at conventions, etc., it's gorgeous. They also use some cast resin to jazz it up. Yeah, they sell a lot of like cast resin pieces and stuff as well, don't they? Ben Mitchell, good evening to you, buddy. Happy New Year as well. He said just started his first Kings of War Army Night Stalkers. Nice choice, mate. Skulldoggy says the real question is, can the minis stand on top of the trees? Not in my world, they call me. Technically, they can, but not in my game. They're not. Ben says I just joined the stream. Is there a painting challenge for January? There will be, mate, but I haven't announced what it is yet. Jez says terrain is another one of those great things about gaming. You get to do it how you want. Flat image, pile of blocks, MDF, 3D printed, scratch built. We've got the best hobby in that we choose so much. Yeah, I can't disagree with that, mate. I think there's always this element of like, and we don't get it in our chats, and we don't really get it in our community, but out there are a kind of gatekeepery type of people who will tell you there's only one way to do something and it's their way kind of thing, and you should do this or you should do that, or like your painting's not good enough, or the game you play is not good enough, or your terrain's not good enough, or your terrain's not playable, or whatever it is. The truth of the matter is there is no one way to play. There's no right way to play. There's only the way that you want to play. And it's the same with the hobby aspect as well. Like if you enjoy scratch building stuff from bits of cornflake boxes and going through the trash and taking out like bits of rubbish and stuff and sticking it together to make it look amazing, that's awesome. I've seen some people do some amazing sort of like trash build terrain pieces. If you want to kind of really go to the far end of it and you're using hot wire cutters and you're using mitre saws and you're using little leaf stamps and all this kind of stuff to make these beautiful stuff, and it looks like something that's like really kind of realistic, like kind of that Luke Towan type stuff, Kathy Millett. If you're right into that kind of stuff, that looks beautiful as well, and it has its place. There's never a wrong way to do stuff. For me, I'm trying to shortcut some of that by using somebody else's skills as a designer to enable me to be able to print something out at home and create something that looks beautiful on my tables. Robert Zunk, thank you so much for the super chat, mate. Very, very kind of you. Really is appreciated, mate. Thank you. Let's have a little look here. Luke says, only gatekeeper I'm willing to accept in the hobby was the gatekeeper from Atmosphere, the board game. Or maybe the one from Ghostbusters as well. Was it the gatekeeper? Or was it the keymaster? And I can't remember now. It's been a while since I watched Ghostbusters. Jess says, I never want to be at a table with those guys. They'd hate me. I think that's an element of everything, isn't it, mate? Some like, if you can find like-minded souls, it doesn't really matter what where your hobby is or what you enjoy doing, as long as you're both enjoying it. Super Pokemon says, when I first started playing 40k, me and my friends went through our garages and found all our old Legos and turned that into our gaming terrain. I've seen a lot of people doing stuff with Lego and that. I've seen people playing miniatures games with Lego miniatures on like a Lego world and stuff. Like I say, there's no wrong way to do it. Skullduggery says the hobby would be a lot less interesting if we all did these things the same way all the time. Yeah, if I had to do stuff like the way, like if there was only one way to do it, and I didn't enjoy it, because there's aspects of this hobby that I don't enjoy. Like I said, I'm not really into scratch building terrain. I'm not really into kit bashing miniatures. I prefer single pose miniatures that just go together one way versus something where you have to try and kind of stick arms on, pointing in different directions and choosing different weapons and all that kind of stuff. Like I do it because certain games come like that, but it wouldn't be my preferred choice. But that's just what I like. Doesn't make it right or wrong. If I had to do all of the things that I didn't enjoy, I'd have found a different hobby by now, that's for sure. You started making foam terrain, yeah. RPD saying, sorry for joining late. Don't worry, mate. Nice to see you in. And Super Pokemon saying, now some of you have seen what I build now. Yeah. Speaking of what folks build now, I think this is probably a good opportunity. We'll have a dig in and we'll have a look at some of the let me just close that bit down. At some of the submissions for the December challenge at the end of the year. So the December challenge was the wish, the Christmas wish, and the idea was you could paint something that you wish you'd painted earlier on in the year, or maybe you wish that you'd painted years ago. It was a model you'd always wanted to, and you wish you'd painted it, or it might be what was it? Just something that basically you wish you'd painted during the year, so you're trying to sort of finish it off and get it done. I'm just frantically going for the emails at the same time here while we're doing it. Let me filter this. There we go. And I think what we'll do is I will just go through them in alphabetical order. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 14 this month. So, in fact, I tell you what, we'll do them in the order of the emails, because then it's easier to find them. So, we'll start with Ed. Where's his? Ed Hanley, there we go. And we'll bring this up. And Ed says, this is a classic 1987 Dreadnought that 14-year-old me bought and attempted to paint. In those days, you stuck your minis together with 2-part epoxy resin, or at least tried to. I made a pig's ear of it and the mini went in a box. Mum recently cleared out a loft and found the boxes with my old minis in, so I got it back and here it is stripped and repainted how I wish I'd been able to at the time. Awesome, mate. It's lovely to see this kind of old stuff. I mean, like I said before, I'm a relatively new gamer, so most of these older kind of 40k type stuff, it goes well over my head. I won't have seen this stuff before. And in 87, how old was I in 87? I left school in 92, so 5 years before that. I'll have been about 11, mate, something like that. Is that right? 12 or 13, maybe 12. So yeah, awesome, mate. Love the bases. I'm assuming the bases are newer, but it just shows how models have changed. Like not this is no reflection on your paint job, but it's amazing how, like, when you think that was a Dreadnought back in the day. But yeah, very nice, mate. You can see it from a different angle there as well. See the Dark Angels on the shoulder there, the Dark Angel symbols. It's nice with a little bit of background on there as well, and a fancy bit of terrain to set it off as well, mate. But yeah, awesome. I do love how they've changed though. I certainly wouldn't want to go back to this kind of model, that's for sure. You know my feelings on putting metal models together. But lovely paint job, mate. Really nice. Lovely little transfers on it as well, setting it off. And a nice colour choice as well, buddy. Awesome work, mate. Thank you very much for sharing it. So, that's Ed's. Next up, we've got a certain Mr. Gary Jensen. So, let's find Gary's. And here we go. And Gary says, I wish these were painted last month. I had a final varnish disaster. My oils hadn't quite set, and it caused crackling and cracking. At first I was beside myself, and then I used it as a happy accident to add a layer of texture to the corrosion. This is how I ended up, and I'm quite pleased. I tell you what, mate, happy. That's right. There's no mistakes, only happy accidents. And yeah, matte varnish can do that sometimes. But yeah, I do like these bits of terrain. Actually, I like these pipework stuff and these. forget what they're called, but yeah, I do like them, and some lovely colour choices there, mate, as well. Love that red. And I can see the kind of cracking stuff that you're talking about there as well. You can just see it on here, folks. But yeah, I think it kind of adds to it. It looks like almost as if there's some sort of corrosive type stuff in that pot that's starting to bubble up underneath the paint layers, which is nice. Love the red and gold together, man. That does look good, and it looks really nice on the table. It's interesting that this is what Games Workshop sells for their terrain, and most of the stuff you see in kind of like tournaments and things is not this. I've seen a lot of like just L-shaped flat wall buildings recently. But yeah, this is really nice, mate. Looking lovely together on a table. Yeah, awesome. I do like that red as well. I don't know if it's an effect of the varnish, but I love the kind of the two tones to the red. Very nice. No, I think it actually is highlighted, mate. Yeah, it looks awesome. Beautiful bit of work, mate. I love that. Thank you very much, and thanks for taking part in the challenge as well. So next up, we have Mr. Clyde Dashin. Mr. Clyde Dashin has been doing this beautiful piece of work. It says, this is a mage from the Elmore Masterwork series by Dark Sword Miniatures. I plan to use her for a thief in Frostgrave. Given some leg. Oh no, racy. Very nice work as well, mate. Love the basin. I bought some of them tufts that when I was doing my God tier minis, and it's amazing like what difference they make just to kind of ground it in a bit of like in a realism type thing. But I love the skin tones, mate. The work on the face is really particularly nice, and the shading on the cloak, like the dress type thing, really nice, buddy. Fantastic work, mate. Thank you for completing the challenge last month. Next up, we got Mr. Ryan Berry. Or Ryan Barry, I should say. There we go. And Ryan has got this awesome thing. I love this when I saw it, mate. I absolutely loved it. And it says, let me go through here. Thank you for the very kind words, mate. It says, for the challenge, I have this diorama I put together as a Christmas gift for an old friend. We would hang out nearly every day as children, and I often watch this show together. My Christmas wish was to gift him something that would bring back those wonderful memories, and I hope this does the trick. This is absolutely fantastic, mate. I'm a big fan of Thundercats as well, and I think it looks awesome. I didn't even know you could get Thundercats miniatures, mate. I love seeing those. But I think it looks great with the like as a diorama type thing with the setting in the background and a little bit of basin around it. It looks absolutely beautiful, mate. And you've done a fantastic job on the minis. I love that, mate. Well done. I'm sure your friend loved it too. And thank you for taking part in the challenge, buddy. Scott Webster. Here we are. Mr. Webster has been doing some dystopian war stuff. So he says, for the challenge, I just finished the stuff I had on my desk. So we have the Victory Fleet for the Crown from Dystopian Wars. So I'm assuming that this is the Victory Fleet. They've got and Kamanu Ryan for the Empire from Lost World Exodus. So that must be one of the other miniatures we go further down. I love the green on the nose of these, mate. Really nice colour choices. Looks nice on the mat as well. The kind of like the landing ship type thing there looks awesome as well. Nice bit of terrain, rocks and stuff, just setting it off. Yeah, that looks really nice, mate. Nice work. I'm always surprised by how big some of these pieces are. They do look quite impressive. And yeah, there's a bit more of a close-up with it as well. Nice colour choices with that green and kind of yellow as well, mate. Really nice. And then this is the, Kamanu Ryan for the Empire from Lost World Exodus, or for the Warrior Nation from Wild West Exodus. Awesome, mate. I love it. I've painted this miniature as well. I think there was a few of them which, to be honest, gave me the Thundercats vibe as well. Very much a bit of Lion-O in there, I think. But yeah, nice work on that, mate. Love the blue, which really does stand out. Nice gold on the gauntlet, and the basin looks beautiful as well. Fantastic work, mate. Thank you very much, Scott, and thanks again for taking part in the challenge. Marcus Schneider. So Marcus has been doing some of these. And he said, yeah, so I used Qualthus the Exile from Curse City box game and customized her to look like Carolyn from Vermintide 2. Ah, very nice. That is a nice miniature. I would go so far as to say I think it's one of the nicest miniatures in the Curse City box. to be honest. He said it was actually really easy. So we'll have a look at those beautiful colour choices, mate. Nice base work as well. Oh, let me go back. And I do like the work on the quiver there as well. Very nice. And the hash work on the skirt. Beautiful work, mate. Really nice. Next up, we've got the Silver Tower Skaven Death Runner that I have no idea when or where I got it. Yeah, some nice colour choices on them as well, mate. Love the red and the silver together. Really is nice. And the basin looks beautiful, mate. Nice work on that one. Let's see the two of them together. Nice work, mate. Really, really nice. Beautiful work on the face here as well on this one. Love it. And then it says finally got a few terrain pieces from the original Warcry starter box as well. Yeah, and they've painted it really nice as well, mate. They look lovely. Awesome work, mate. I do like those. I like this terrain from the original Warcry box. I must admit, I really enjoyed painting all of that up. I quite like sort of like buying like the plastic terrain kits. I bought all of the terrain kits for Warcry and painted them all up. I went through a bit of a phase where I just loved painting terrain. Excellent work, mate. Thank you very, very much. And Ben Mitchell is up next. And what's Ben been doing? It says Ben wanted to provide better picks as well. He said, but unfortunately had a frosting mishap while sealing, and some of these models didn't make it. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. He says, anyway, these are Lord of the Rings minis. Lord of the Rings, Minas Tirith warriors and knights, plus the character Ranger Damrod. And says, thanks for the year of challenges, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. Also, mate, I'm glad you did. These are super nice, mate. Really, really nice and clean. Love the basin that you've done on them. Look really nice. Nice, clean paint jobs. Should be rightly proud of them, mate. Love them on the horseback as well. Very, very nice. I'm assuming, I don't know Lord of the Rings. I think we've been down this path before. I'm assuming these blue colours are kind of relevant to like the movie and stuff like that as well. But they are a beautiful colour choice anyway. And there's the character mini as well. Looking rather good. Nice work on the skin tones. Nice shading. Nice bit of work on the terrain on the basin as well. The terrain part of the basin. Beautiful, mate. Awesome work. I think we might as well plough through them because there wasn't that many this month, was there? So we might as well plough through the others. Rob Green was next. Here we go, Rob. So he says a few picks, didn't quite finish. He's plain, needs weathering and a bit of TLC, but always wanted to build one. Carnivale, 3 characters, but also gondola poles, a fountain and some barrels. So that's the first one. He's got some Carnivale stuff. Really, really nice looking stuff. And we've just been talking about I think these are the card terrain packs that come in the boxes, but they do look nice. I need some of these resin barrels as well to go with my my terrain piece. They're looking really nice as well. Nice work on those. Nice colour choices. Really do like. I forget which factions these are for. I'm not really up on the on those. I'm not 100% sure that this is from an old model. I'm reading the email at the same time here. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is part of Carnivale or not, but it looks awesome regardless. Nice. Is it a dragon? Is it a weaving? I never know the difference. One's got arms, hasn't it? I think. But it looks really nice. Nice work on the kind of the texture as well there of the wings. Really nice, and I like the basin on it. Very nice, mate. They look awesome. And then this is the plane that he didn't quite get finished. The Fokker. And he said, "I'm just amazed how small it is. It's half the size of a World War II fighter." Yeah, they're not very big, mate. And we got some snow trolls from Maya Mantic with the upgraded prime for use on the magic side of Raven Feast. Very nice, mate. They look nice. Again, nice work with I like the blending between the kind of the darker skin of the hands into the whiteness of the fur. Look really good, and I love the gold really does stand out against them. Nice work, mate. And last up, we got Hellboy. It says Vince Venturella talks about non-gaming pieces and using them to do something different. I slap chopped it, and I'm really happy and pleased with the result. I'm not surprised you're happy with it, mate. It looks awesome. Very, very nice work. That red does not stand out as well, doesn't it? I do love a Hellboy. And there's some really nice work on that. Basin looks good as well. Awesome work, mate. So thank you very much for that submissions, Rob. We have two now. We've got Blair Smith. And Blair said, this is my first attempt at Malifaux with Cornelius Bass from the Bassett Call box. And the other four, let's go back 30 years. Looks nice, mate. Love the little bit of basin on there as well. Nice colour choices. Nice neat paint job there. And it says the other four, that must be these guys, are from the Dead Man's Hand and first attempt at stripes, and try to do lit cigarettes as well. Hope you enjoy. Oh, sorry. Hope you enjoy. See you on the rerun. Yes, sorry. Thanks, Blair. Yeah, they look awesome, mate. You can definitely see you've been putting some effort into those. Nice work on the basin. Nice clean paint jobs. All the paint's in the right place. All the kind of things that you need to do. They're looking great, mate. Really like them. Nice little characters, those Dead Man's Hand ones as well. Yeah, nice bit of shading on there as well. And like that as well, the bit of wash there on the coat. Stripe looks awesome as well, mate. Not easy to do. Not easy to do at all. Well done, buddy. Well done. And thank you for taking part. That was Blair's. Next up, we've got Stephen Hallowich. Here we go, Steve. And Stephen says, for most of the month, my painting mojo was gone. We all have those moments, mate. He says, but got it back in time for the challenge. These are the Masked Mayhem, a Rumble Slam team crossed over from the world of Carnivale. These were some of those painting projects that just look bad until the final step and everything clicks. There's a lot of painting jobs that are like that, where everything feels bad and then it just comes together. Some nice work on the skin tones there, mate. Lovely painting in the masks as well. And I love the choice of the red for the little frills around the neck. How angry does he look? You can definitely tell he's ready to come for a fight. Nice. Even got a bit of pixie boot going on there as well. And he's obviously the boss, isn't he? He's the top boy. Nice work, mate. Nice kind of definition on the muscles as well. They're just doing a little bit of shading on them. Awesome, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate you sending those in. And thank you for taking part in the challenge as well. I think we've got 4 left to do now. Colin Beale. So Colin, let's have a look. Let me go to this one first. He said, one is a unicorn that was painted for a friend who wanted it sparkly pink and purple. I'm sure there's a mythology of unicorns granting wishes. I'm sure there is, mate. And so really nice, mate. Lovely colour choice there. Even more so if that's what somebody's asked for as well. And the basin looks awesome as well. You can see it there from a different angle as well. There's a nice bit of colour shift actually between the back as well and between the sort of the belly and the legs. Nice work, mate. Love that. And secondly, another Magnetar Marvel that you said you wished to paint in November, Andy. Unfortunately, this one had a recipient already. I'd be asking for your address. This is actually one of my favourite Mantic models. I absolutely love this. I remember saying when I first saw this model, I would love to get like a 3-up like version of this. I'd love to get the STL file and print out like a big version and paint it up to kind of sit on my desk or something. I absolutely love this miniature. You've done a cracking job on it, mate. Really nice. Love the colour choices as well. Very, very nice, mate. Awesome. Right. Thanks for taking part in the challenge, buddy, and for sending that in. Next up, we have Mr. Adam Woznicka. And Adam is saying he's painted up Cyclops for his X-Men for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Just had to use a wee bit of UV paint on him. And he also did some Barrows. So this is Cyclops from X-Men. Nice choice, mate. Nice paint job. Nice colour choice. And he said he'd done some UV paint. There's the there's the proof in the pudding as well. We can see where he's put some UV paint around here. Very nice, mate, showing it off. And these are the Barrows as well, which are very, very nice. I'm trying to see what's in those what they're made of. Very nicely done, mate. I was getting a bit carried away to try and see what you'd use to kind of cover them in and stuff, mate. It looks like kind of bits of flock and stuff like that. But yeah, really nice, mate. Nice work. They look awesome on the table. So thank you very much for sending those in. Thank you for completing the challenge. We've now got Zingbo or Chris. And Chris has been doing this, which is awesome work, mate. He said, I think it was Christmas wishes, in which case my painting seemed to drop off a bit of a cliff in October last year. This Formoroid crusher was part of my wish to actually get something finished before the end of 22. Got to finish on the 31st, so my wish was granted, but only just. It looks awesome, mate. Really nice work on the skin tones. Absolutely beautiful. That blue is a lovely colour choice against the silver of the armour as well. And nice work on the hair there as well, mate. And yeah, those bits of boils and stuff on the back looking suitably awful. But yeah, awesome. I don't think I ever noticed the fact that he'd been kind of like chained down before and the rocks. He just picked that one up and just walked with it. Really nice, mate. Thank you for sending those in and thank you for completing the challenge. And then, last but not least, we've got Mr. John Estel. And John has sent in this. And it said, this was a gift from my secret Santa in our gaming group. It's a birthday daughter. It's a birthing daughter. A birthday daughter? A birthing daughter for Kings of War. And it was nice to slow down after Christmas and paint one mini at a time. What a difference that makes, mate, doesn't it? Just painting one mini at a time. Really nice, mate. I think that'll fit in with your army beautifully. I really like it, mate. Love the red on the loincloth there as well. Really does come together nice. So those, folks, are our submissions. Thank you very much, one and all, for taking part in not only this last month's challenge, but all of the challenges through 2022. There was a lot of them, 12 in fact. And yeah, I mean, some months we were getting like sort of like nearly 40 submissions in. So yeah, let's see how that goes again this month. I won't go back and go through everybody's chat. There's been lots of chat about people on the where was it? Yeah, lots of people chit-chatting in the thing there as well and commenting on people's things. And John saying Thundercats Zombicide. Awesome. Is that what it is, mate? Thundercats Zombicide, is that where it comes from? Very nice, because I wasn't familiar with those models. RG says, "Paul, people were later than me." There was a bit of a flurry of sort of emails coming in today, to be fair, when people realised it was tonight. So yes, I'm glad there was a few coming. Yoakum, good evening, mate. How are you doing, buddy? Nice to see you in there. Super Pumpkin Man says, my wish was that my laptop would let me play Vermintide 2. I do have Vermintide 2 actually on Steam, but I saw it's also on the PlayStation Pass thing. I might load it up at some point. I was playing a bit of Ghost of Tsushima last night with my son. We were kind of just sort of taking turns playing it for a bit, and that's a pretty nice looking game, to be fair. Tony says, I do apologise for not making December. I managed 11 months, but I fell flat at December. Oh, I'm so sorry that you missed one, mate. But I know that you had a little bit of a spell off, a little bit of a painting break. But I have seen you painting again now, mate. So we'll almost count that one. We'll count that one in. RPD says, what's January's painting challenge? You know what? I can't even remember what Christian said we should use. Let me find it again, because Christian had a great idea. Can I find it? Christian, there it was. January painting challenge. It begins. So that's what we'll have for the challenge for this month. It begins. So you've got to paint your first miniature or your first unit of the year, or crack open one of those games still sitting on your shelf unopened and paint a model from it. So that is this month. It begins. And it might be the beginning of a new game for you. Maybe you've got something for Christmas, that's a starter box or something like that. Or maybe you've got a board game and you want to paint the miniatures. Or maybe it's just, you just need that little bit of a oomph, a little bit of a push just to get started in something, that urge to get you painting again. I know I do. So that's what it is. It begins. In fact, I'm even going to write that down now as well, so I won't forget. It begins. Somebody will remind me as well if I forget, because my pen's not working. There we go. So there is January's challenge. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing them throughout the year again. We're going to do one a month. And remember, it's not about how good a painter you are. It's not about it's not a competition with prizes. It's just a bit of motivation to get you to pick up the brush. And if you're the kind of painter that sort of maybe struggles for a bit of sort of motivation, or you don't really know what you want to paint, this might just give you a little bit of an idea. Jez is saying Genesis. You want to just paint loads of sort of Peter Gabriel models or something, or Phil Collins. And Tony says, "Mwahaha, I know exactly what I'm painting." Let's find out what it's going to be then, mate. I'm looking forward to finding out. I'm in the middle at the minute. I'm kind of, so the room in my house where kind of sort of I do a bit of hobby. I'm fortunate that I've obviously got like the studio here where I kind of do my work, and then I've got a bit of space upstairs in a spare bedroom, which I try to keep for hobby stuff so that I'm not confusing the two. And I'm in the middle of kind of rearranging a few things at the moment, because I'm taking my printer from in here in the garage and putting them in the house so that I'm not constantly keep coming in out to double check on it and stuff. And especially when it's been a bit extra cold over the winter. So I'm in the middle of rearranging some stuff, which should all be done probably by the end of this week. Hopefully, I'll get my desk all set up again and stuff like that, and kind of, I've spent a bit more time with the family over the Christmas, as I'm aiming to do. I can then sort of settle into my new little kind of painting area. I say new, it'll just be tidied up and organised, that's all. And then I might get the motivation to kind of get painting some stuff. So yeah, that's the plan. Oh, she says end date of the 30th of Jan, or should it be the 23rd? Yeah, 23rd for you, mate. Let me have a look at the dates and see how they work out. We will say Sunday the 29th. So you have 1, 2, 3, you have 4 weeks. So Sunday the 29th of January, and on the 30th of January we will do the end of month. The reason we do that is that otherwise it's going to, like, the next live stream is then the 6th of February. February is a short month and you won't have a lot of time to get the February one done. So we'll end it on the 29th of January, and we'll show them off on the stream on the 30th. So you've got 4 weeks to get that done. Type 40 Torres is saying January's challenge now depends on Royal International Mail and mail from Oz. This should be interesting. I tell you what, it begins might be just the journey of getting it there, mate. That might be what you need to show us. Tony says, yeah, these challenges are so much fun. You don't have to be good enough. Just have fun and share. We don't judge. We love painted minis, full stop. We just love people having fun, mate. We love people enjoying their hobby. And if you're not somebody that paints minis, don't worry about it. You don't have to kind of take part in it. You don't have to paint your minis. But yeah, if this might be just to give you a nudge to give it a try, or maybe it just gives you the nudge that kind of like, oh, I don't know what to paint this month, and this sparks a bit of an idea, then so be it. So be it. So what's everybody been up to then? Have folks been playing many games over the Christmas? Did anybody kind of have any New Year gaming sessions? What's the board games that you've been playing that I should be looking out for this year? Did anybody get any hobby stuff for Christmas, like kind of like painting stuff? Anything new that you've tried out? Anybody get any 3D printers or airbrushes or any of that kind of malarkey? Let me know what you've all been up to. I think I mentioned before, hobby-wise, I didn't really kind of, I never really get much hobby stuff for Christmas. I did get, as you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see, with it being out of focus there. Hang on, let me just grab the little one. I got this from my son for Christmas, which is my the McFarlane what they call the Warhammer 40k Orc models, which is quite nice. It's all kind of like posable and stuff, bit more of a toy type thing. And whilst I might not like play a 40k or anything like that, I do like the models. I think the models are awesome. I think they make some nice stuff. So yes, so I was fortunate to get that from my son. Did I get anything else? I'm glancing around the room here, looking around. Did I get any? I got some kind of little Marvel and DC kind of sort of mug head things, which are kind of that kind of stuff. Oh, and my wife bought me this as well, which I haven't put up yet actually, but I've got like a light that says on air, which we'll probably put up in the background at some point, which would be awesome for live streams. There we go. Let's have a little look here. Super Punker Man saying, yeah, he knows what to paint now. That's good, mate. RPD says, just been playing PC Fallout 76. What have I been playing? I've been playing a bit of video games over the Christmas. I played a few kind of like puzzle game type things. Like, is it called The Garden Between, I think it's called, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. What Remains of Edith Finch. I played that and completed it. I completed Stray, which I'd been playing and then stopped and went back to it and finished that off. My little boy finished and completed Bendy and the Ink Machine, so we kind of sat together and did that, and he did that. I say I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima with Adam last night. Is there anything else I've been playing? I've been playing a little bit of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, actually, because I never played it the first time around, so I've been playing a bit of that as well. But funnily enough, the way it's been over the Christmas and stuff, like me and my wife, our paths have hardly crossed. There's been like sort of like she's had a night out with the girls, and then I had a night out with my mates, and then I had a night out with my brother-in-law, and then she had a night out with the girls, and then I had a night out with my other brother-in-law and his brother, and then it was like Christmas Eve, and then it was Christmas Day, and we had like family round, and then it was Boxing Day. Well, I can't remember what we did Boxing Day, but I think I went out. Did I go out again? Oh, I can't remember. There's been a bit of a mixture, kind of bit of bits and pieces, but we've hardly kind of had a night together really. So we've not really had a chance to play many board games or anything like that. We've not played any at all this Christmas. We bought a load of exit games and stuff like that, and wanted to finish Pandemic Legacy Season 2 as well, and we just never got round to it yet. Skulldog recently, I got into Mario and Rabbids. Never gave the game a second thought, but I recently heard a lot about people being excited about the second one, so I picked up both. I'm really enjoying the first. My little lad got the Mario Party game for Switch, and me and my wife and my little boy's been playing that together. That's been quite fun. Jess has played one game of the Labyrinth game with the missus and her daughter. Got some goblins from Oakbound Studios as a gift. Very nice, mate. Very nice. Skullduggery saying hobby stuff for Christmas. Got some brushes and a collectible coin, which I'll be using as an objective marker. Very nice. Type 40 TARDIS is saying got nothing but hobby stuff. A Modern Northern Lions Fleet and Kickstarter board game from the movie Silent Night, Deadly Night. Well, who's been a lucky boy there then, eh? Win says he's been playing the Clone Wars Pandemic and Darkside Rising board games, both superb. I'd quite like to play the Clone Wars Pandemic game, actually. I do like the Pandemic games, and my wife loves them as well, to be fair. Super Punkin Man saying he crushed his brother-in-law at a number of strategy type card games as payback for being a jerk at Mario Kart. Christian sharing the link there as well for the Amazon affiliate link. Thank you very much, mate. If you do click on that link and you order anything, it doesn't cost you any more. It basically just sends a little kickback my way, and it helps support the channel in another kind of income stream. Tony says I got the NPC box by Archeon Minis. It's a weighty box, and started work painting up a Delac gang alongside Peachy and Co. with a Delac gang. One of the crew called it Man Flesh Dusters. Nice, mate. RPDC, it sounds like you've been busy. I've been trying to kind of like sort of just like get out and see people, mate. I spend a lot of time just being stuck at home here. Either like my wife's away with work, so I'm at home looking after the little one, or I work at home, so I don't really go anywhere. And you kind of, especially after lockdown and stuff, you kind of got out of the routine, I think, of like going out and seeing people and stuff. So I try to make a bit of an effort to like sort of make a point of kind of like going out and seeing some family and seeing some friends over Christmas, and trying to kind of like sort of get out of my comfort zone a little bit, because when it's cold and it's wet and it's miserable and your hobby is staying at home playing games, it's very easy to just like not get out there. So I've been trying to keep busy, shall we say. Liam Fishwick said he got a British team for the Silver Bayonet this year for Christmas, but need to get my Mordheim Witch Hunter done for the Inner City campaign that starts in 2 weeks. Very nice, mate. Just as he's been working for loads of it, had Christmas and Boxing Day off and New Year's Eve, but worked other than that, including my birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, mate. I didn't realise it was being your birthday. All many happy returns. I I don't know what I was going to say there, but it wasn't right. RG says this Kickstarter solo card game Colossus arrived just before Christmas, along with Final Girl, so lots of solo play of those. Both great antidote to too much family and friends. Yeah, I must admit, I don't really see family and friends that often, so yeah, it's been nice to actually spend some time with them. Colin says he's got a fair bit of Legion minis and terrain for Crimbo. He's been learning how to play today with his two youngest throwing the dice. Very nice. Lizzie Pirate's been played a few games of Wingspan with the missus, one of my daughters and her boyfriend. Awesome, mate. I've heard nothing but good things about Wingspan. Type 40 Tars says I'm going to try not to buy minis till the summer. So as a compromise, I splurge for Burrows and Badgers Warbands and Bot War 2.0 Turbo. Hopefully should keep me busy until June. Nice stuff, mate. Nice. I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of the minis from Bot Wars. I think the game's pretty good, but the minis are a bit static for my liking, shall we say. Zingbo says the hobby stuff I got for Christmas was the Seraphim Ziggurat terrain kit and Blood Bowl Lizard Man, some paints and a wow stick drill. I don't even know what a wow stick drill is, mate, but I feel like I want one already. Vigi saying Clone Wars Pandemic's great. He got Star Wars Villainous, Marvel Dice Stone, and Unmatched Cobble and Fog, all excellent games. And no mini hobby stuff this year. The pile is already too big. Mine's a bit like, I need to get through a bit of a backlog of stuff. Not like in a bad way, but just like last year I bought loads of Marvel stuff that I've not finished painting yet, and I don't really need to kind of delve into them. And I had an absolute massive backlog of Malifaux stuff that I'd got, and hadn't even assembled some of it really. And I want to play some more. I want to play more Malifaux this year. So over the Christmas, I did spend a bit of time. I've forgotten. I kind of did hobby, to be fair. I built a load of minis, but I haven't even got a chance to prime them yet. What happened was I was resin 3D printing the base toppers, and I ran out of resin. So then I had to order some more resin, and then I kind of got out. This is the long-winded thing. So basically, what I did, I was using water washable resin. And I don't like it so much, actually, I'll be honest. I'm not as keen on the water washable resin. So I bought some normal ABS-like resin and then realised that I'd run out of, what's it called? IPA, alcohol. So then I had to buy some of that as well. Which meant I didn't print the resin bases, which meant I haven't primed the miniatures yet. But I'll get back to that now. John says he played Minecraft board game with his son. It's a really good game. It's time to step up the difficulty now as we know what we're doing. I didn't know there was a Minecraft board game, mate. Truck Station 5, good evening to you. Says introduced a friend to God Tier 2 nights ago. He loves it. I'm glad to hear that. Another God Tier player is never a bad thing. It's a bit of a bumper one for me. Some Vatican for Carnivalia, 2 new Legion armies. Well, there you go, mate. A new airbrush from AK Interactive and a decent compressor. That's a nice little haul, mate. Somebody must have been a good boy. And then a bit of chat there backwards and forwards as well. So yeah, like I say, I've been doing a bit of 3D printing. I've been printing off some terrain pieces or a terrain piece, which is going to be a big one. And a lot of it is because I'd got to a point with my PLA printer, the one that makes this hard plastic stuff, where it was a bit hit and miss. I couldn't consistently get it to work to the point where I'd be happy to set it away for like a 20-hour print or a 2-day print, even in some cases, and just leave it and expect it to be done when I got back, kind of thing. So I spent a bit of time over the Christmas just trying to understand what I was doing wrong. I hadn't really spent a lot of time researching it or anything like that. I think I'd probably been more lucky than knowledgeable in the past, and I spent a little bit of time, and then once I understood like what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong, it was like a light bulb switch moment where it was like, oh, so that's all you do, kind of thing. And I'm going to talk about like the problems I had and how I fixed it in another video later. But once I kind of did that, the prints were just like perfect from that point on. And so I thought what I'd do is, while everything's working well, when I know what I'm doing, while I'm feeling kind of enthused by it, I'm going to try and print this big file off this big piece of terrain with some STL files that I already had. I'd bought them as part of a Kickstarter a while ago, and I thought, you know what I'll do is over the Christmas I'll have a little bit of a break. I'll spend some time with the family, but it means every day I can kind of go in and set the printer away, and then we can go out for the day. We can go and see family. We can go and see friends. We can have a night out, whatever it is, and the printer will just happily be buzzing away in the background. And then when I come back, the file's finished, and I can change it and set the next one away. Now, the thing I'm printing off is made up of about, I'm trying to think now, it's about 50 parts. So there's a lot of bits to print off. Not all of them take a long time. Some of them are like a door, which might take like an hour or something to print off. Some of them are like big sort of roof pieces, which I think the longest one is like an hour, 1 day and 20 hours is the biggest piece that needs to be printed off for it all to go into. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've just been kind of plugging away and just switching them over and printing them bits off. So it'll look bloody awesome when it's done, and I'm looking forward to making a video about it and kind of talking about my journey about 3D printing, because I've kind of gone up and down on 3D printing. There's elements of it that I was a big fan of. There's elements of it that I didn't like. There's elements that I was very, very wrong about. So yeah, I was going to kind of talk about them on a live stream, but I think it's a better topic for a proper video, actually, to be able to kind of to craft my thoughts a bit more coherently, show some example photographs, like example shots and that kind of stuff. Let's have a little look down here. RPD says my 3D printer works when things are in the middle of the print bed, but can be hit and miss when in the corners. There's loads of little bits of things like that, like where I kind of learned a lot through, because the problem is when you're new to this kind of stuff, if it works, you just assume, well, that's what it does, it works. But when it doesn't work, you don't know what you've done any differently. And I've learned quite a lot over the last, I would say over the last like 2 weeks, just off like a very small amount of casual research, a little bit of trial and error, and even to the point of like sort of changing some parts just to see what effect it would have. And yeah, and I learned a lot. Gary saying no gaming for me. I travel south to Kansas for some disc golf and winter escaping. Disc golf, I'm assuming, is that like golf frisbee type thing where you're basically throwing the frisbees into the net? It's pretty awesome. I've seen that elsewhere. There's a few places in the UK that have that. There's a football golf course as well, not too far from me, where you can basically like playing golf, but instead of hitting it with a golf stick or a club, as the real people call it, you basically just booting a football and there's like a big hole to get them in. I think those kind of things are pretty cool, mate. RPD says, what PLA printer do you have? I have an Elegoo Neptune 2. So they're a relatively older one now. There's a Neptune 2S, there's a Neptune 2 Pro, I think. There's a Neptune 3, a 3 Pro, and a 3 Max, I think it is, or a 3 Plus. So there's quite a few different variations of them. And what I've generally found is the quality of the prints doesn't really change much, but the quality of life improvements and the quality of the materials that the printers are made out of is generally what changes. So for me, there's no real need for me to kind of upgrade. Maybe to have a bigger bed to print off bigger parts, but they don't print any faster when the print is bigger. Like, so if I have to print off 2 pieces and glue them together and they take a day to print each piece, so it takes 2 days, if I was printing that off as 1 piece and not having to glue it together, it would still take roughly 2 days to kind of do all of that movement and lay down all that plastic. So there's no real speed increase in getting a bigger plate. Just I don't have to glue bits together, basically. But I also think the bigger the build plate, the more accurate you have to be with things like bed level and stuff as well. So there's an element of like, part of me's thinking, would I bother upgrading? And for me, yeah, I don't think I'd want to. Rob Sung saying my Raise the Black Kickstarter arrived 2 days before Christmas, hence the pirates. That would be a good time, mate. When you got a little bit of time off as well, that's not bad. Yeah, a bit of chat going backwards and forwards there. So yeah, so the plan this week, folks, for me is I'm having a little bit of a break as my wife's off work for a week. The little boy's still off school as well, so we're obviously like sort of looking after him. I've got I've got my spa day that me and my wife bought each other for Christmas. We've got my spa day this week as well. So I wouldn't imagine there's going to be videos this week, because I'm trying to kind of spend some time with my family while they're off. But then next week we'll be back to kind of full steam, and we'll be ploughing ahead. It's kind of why I'm doing all this 3D printing in the background, so that by the time I start up again next week, this should all be printed off, to be fair, and we'll be ready to go with the videos and stuff. I've got a number of things lined up. I've got the Duncan Roads paints that came just before Christmas. I've got to do a video to review those. I've got some Malifaux stuff that I want to cover. A load of things that I've kind of wrote myself a nice little list of all the things to get me started in January. So that's the plan anyway. RPD saying, I hope in the future 3D printing will become easier and faster. So essentially, I don't actually think it's that difficult, and I don't think it's the kind of everybody says about how 3D printing is like a hobby in and of itself, and I think it can be, but it doesn't have to be. If you buy good files, and this goes for resin printing as well, if you buy good files and pre-supported files, because not all files are created equally, and you know the basics, you can generally, I mean, there's still a bit of work to it, like, you know, all the post-processing with resin stuff and things where you've got to sort of clean it all down and cure it and all that. There's still stuff to do, but it's about as simple, I would say, as it's going to get for a while. The PLA printing does take quite a while. Like, it's not fast. However, it's just time while you're off doing other things. It's not like you have to stand and watch it kind of thing. You don't have to keep an eye on it. You don't have to kind of spend any time doing anything while it's working its magic. It's great that you can kind of just leave it and it'll print away overnight while you're asleep. But the speed limitation really comes from the fact of how quickly you can heat up the plastic so that it kind of gets to a melting point and it comes out through the nozzle, and also how quickly you can then cool it again so it gets to a solid state, like after it's come out of the nozzle and it's in the right place. And I think there are some things that will happen in the future. We'll probably get different types of sort of filament, which will maybe kind of like melt at a lower temperature. We might get like where and it cools, like its cooling point is faster. We'll probably get different types of hot ends which heat it up kind of quick, because you can't make the hot end part of it where the nozzle is, you can't make it too long so that you're melting lots of it. You just be creating kind of goo. So the point where it melts the plastic is a very small piece of the actual hot end of the printer. And if you are going too fast, it doesn't spend enough time inside that hot end to reach the right temperature to create its kind of like soft melting point before it cools again when it's in the model. So I think I'm sure we'll find different materials which will melt and cool faster in the future, and I think we'll probably find newer types of hot ends and stuff like that which will speed it up, but I wouldn't say it's going to like sort of dramatically speed it up to the point where, you know, you print something off like this size in like an hour. I'd be surprised if we ever get to that kind of thing. RPD says, I struggle with bed leveling. I did struggle with the bed leveling, and I feel like I've got it cracked now. I mean, that might be just cursing myself a little bit, but newer printers now have automatic bed leveling as well, which kind of helps a lot. Mine doesn't. Mine's manually bed leveling, but I think I learned a lot through having to do that. But yeah, a lot of the newer ones now are a lot more just automatic bed leveling, and all they're doing is they're just like they're taking certain sort of measurements all across the bed and understanding like basically sort of where it is in relation to itself, and then adjusting that when it actually comes to print, which is pretty good. Colin saying, will Wednesday night hangouts be coming back? I'm not sure, mate, is the honest answer. They might do. They might come back on a semi-frequent basis. They might come back on Twitch or something like that, in a different location. They're not great for the channel, mate, but I do enjoy doing them. So maybe is the answer. We'll kind of see how they go. Cry Havoc Wargaming, good evening to you, buddy. How are you doing? RPD says, I suppose it's down to practice. I think it's one of those things, mate, where once you do it and you've been successful with it, you then kind of get that little bit of memory of like, oh, I know what I need to replicate now, because when I did it like this, it worked. And you will do it lots of times and it won't work. And it's understanding kind of like what's too close, what's not close enough, like what happens if you've got the nozzle too close to the bed, what does it look like? Sort of like now I'm starting to get like a memory bank of when I see something, it's like, oh, I know that's happening because the nozzle is too far away from the bed, or I know that's happening because the nozzle's too close to the bed. So that like I'm starting to kind of get that experience now, but it's not something I have to kind of keep working at once you kind of know. Super Pokemon saying maybe Wednesday hobby hangouts once a month on Discord. Quite potentially, mate. I talked a while ago about doing them just for Patreons and doing them through the Discord or something like that. As an added benefit, a reason to join the Patreon and to support me that way. And it also means that it's not screwing up the YouTube algorithm and all that kind of stuff as well. That's still an option. It might be something I do that way. But we'll see, as they say. We shall see. So then, folks, what would you like to see on the channel in the future? What kind of things do you want to see? I mean, I know I said I'm going to be covering stuff that's interesting to me and stuff, but that doesn't mean that I've thought of everything that interests me. Like, what kind of stuff do you want to see? Because if there's something that you kind of want to see and it's interesting to me, I'd kind of be mad not to do it. I always wanted to do more kind of gameplay type stuff, but I think I'm being realistic. Gameplay stuff's probably not going to happen very often. They take a long time to record. They take a long time to edit. I don't play enough games. I don't have a regular kind of playing partner, if you like, or anything like that. There's only me on the channel. It's not like there's me and one or two other people who we could play regularly and stuff. So I think the gameplay stuff is probably not going to happen very often. Maybe for reviews and stuff, or maybe for like how to plays, maybe for that kind of stuff. But like I'm never going to be doing gameplay videos, like, or battle reports on the level, like on the frequency of someone like Ash Parker or someone like that. It's just not my strong point. It's not really what I like. It's not really what I'm good at. RPD says, I like the Boogs video, the Fighting Fantasy. Yeah, they're fun, mate. They're fun, but just they're not. Nobody watches them, mate. Is the honest answer. VG says the odd Lou bat rep will be cool. Yeah, she really doesn't actually enjoy being on camera, mate, if the truth be told. She does it as a favourite to me now and again, but she really doesn't enjoy it, to be honest. Jess says a Kings of War thing would be cool. Maybe how to play or army slow grow. Potentially, mate. Potentially. It's one of those things where it's like the army slow grow stuff are a real commitment, because especially if you're going to slow grow an army, like you need to say, well, I'm going to commit to making content about that for like the next 4 months or the next 6 months, even sometimes, for something like that. And that's a big commitment. If it's not working or if nobody's watching it, like at the end of the day, it's still got to be like, it's a real fine balance. I don't want to just do the stuff that's popular, because if that's the case, I might as well go and make videos about kids' toys and that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like rather than just doing Warhammer stuff because it's popular and it's not what I like, I might as well just go and make YouTube videos about something that's popular. Like I might as well have a travel channel or something like that, or a cooking channel. So there's a balance, but by the other side of it as well is when you're committing to stuff that's going to like be, you're going to repeat it for like 4 to 6 months. One, I have to enjoy it, and two, it has to have a bit of a payoff, really. Otherwise, I'm not doing myself any favors. Video says we could smash out a few back reps when I come to visit again. They're not easy, mate. That's the problem. They're not easy to do because they're not. I'll be honest. Filming a battle report is not fun to play, because you have to concentrate on what the camera's doing. You've got to concentrate on have you got the right shot. You've got to concentrate on trying to get the rules right, because if you make a balls up, like if you get a rule wrong, like woe betide, somebody will tell you, you'll know about it. So you're constantly trying to like, is that rule definitely right? Am I remembering that right? And it ends up putting a lot of pressure onto the game itself, where it actually doesn't become fun to play. And an hour's game doesn't take an hour to play when you're filming it with cameras and stuff and you're trying to get the right shots. It also takes quite a lot of prep and making sure that you've got painted miniatures and you've got a beautiful table and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, why would anybody want to watch it? And it also, you have to have something that makes it watchable. Nobody really wants to just watch people rolling dice and moving miniatures. They either want to see competitive play where people are really, really knowledgeable and they know what they're doing. They want to see sort of learning how to play, so it can be a how to play video. They might want to see a narrative story. So they take a lot of work, and there are not a lot of channels who get the views to match the effort that you kind of put into it, into that kind of stuff. So to be like if you were saying if you were visiting or something, I'd rather just use that time to play a game and have fun and have a laugh and not worry about the camera stuff. That's the problem. Is most of the time when I'm playing a game, I don't want to lose the fun by worrying about doing the recording. That's where the problem comes, mate. Jesse's a cookery channel, BlackJack Legacy. The only thing I would ever make would be bacon sandwiches. That's the problem. VG saying maybe some more creator interviews, fellow hobby YouTuber interviews. Yeah, possibly on the YouTuber stuff if they're interesting folks and stuff. And I do enjoy doing the kind of the interviews and things. I always learn something from doing them as well, and it's always somebody that I'm interested to talk to. So I think we'll definitely do some more of them over the year. Be interesting to see the kind of the names of folks that people would like to see like on the channel. Is there anybody out there that you'd like to see an interview with? Mini Wormwood says, yeah, play for an hour and edit for 3 hours. Takes a bit to record a battle report. To be honest, even an hour's play time generally isn't recording for an hour. Like even if you can edit it down to like a 40-minute like video, you probably find that you're playing for 2 or 3 hours to kind of get the shots. And like you'll see some of the channels that do a good job, you can see they've stopped the camera, they've talked about what they're going to do next, they've almost even pre-measured what they're going to do, and then they switch the camera on and do the movement. So they they do a move and stuff, they turn the camera off, they check the rule, make sure that they got the rule right, we're going to do this next, right, I'm going to do that, I'm going to move to here, and then I'm going to do this thing, right, okay, so then they set the camera up, turn the camera back on, and they go, okay, so we're going to move to here, and you can see where they've pre-measured, because there's a little token there where they're moving to, so this model moves to here, they're going to do this, and then they roll the dice and stuff, and then it stops, and then they move, then they kind of talk about what they're going to do next. It's not that fun to actually play, and editing them, you can edit them quick. Like I think 3 hours to edit them is fast. That's quite quick to edit a video together. Like it can take me days to edit some of my videos, just because like you want to put graphical overlays in there. You want to make sure the sound's right. You want to make sure the color's right. You're pulling together multiple bits of kind of camera angles. You have to make sure that you it's sequential, especially when you're doing a gameplay thing. Like I'm not a big fan of the kind of the shaky handheld camera of just like we're just playing the game and I'm just kind of holding the camera and filming it. For me, there's no fun in that kind of stuff. And I also find that there is so many different ways to make a battle report that not everybody kind of likes them anyway. So for me, the reward for the effort in battle reports is never really there. So yeah, that's what always kind of puts me back. Let's have a little look here. Jessica and I, the interviews are always great. Yeah, I just find them fun, mate. Like they're not difficult to do in terms of the fact that like it's just an interesting conversation. And yeah, I have to edit them, and I don't always like everything we talk about doesn't always end up in those interviews, because like otherwise some of them would go on for like 2 hours or something like that. But yeah, like they're always a fun conversation. Mini Walmart says also a lot of people do not watch a 2-hour battle report. Yeah, most people don't watch a 2-hour battle report, mate. Unless it's and this is what I mean about it has to be either two competitive players who are playing at a high level where it's like nobody watches, like people will watch the Premier League on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night. They'll watch a Premier League match. They don't turn on the telly to watch like kind of a few kids kicking a ball around in the park, and that's the difference. People want to see kind of competitive play when it comes to that kind of stuff. Paul says, how about a cookery channel called Smoked Back Legacy? I'll be honest with you, I'll never do a cookery channel. I can't cook for toffee. If I had a cookery channel, it would be me ringing Just Eat on multiple different occasions. RG saying, yeah, fully understand the pain of creating back rep videos. You need to stuff you need to do stuff you want to do. 100%, mate. Yeah. Jess says, I never really watch back reps, but I like how to play vids. Now, how to play stuff, mate, I'm all right with that. I quite like that because I don't see a how to play video as a battle report, if you like. It's a step-by-step type thing where you're explaining it, you're teaching, and I find that's more interesting. Because the thing is, like, in order to keep things fresh, you don't want to see me just doing multiple videos of playing the same game. And the problem with that is, that's the only way you get knowledgeable enough to talk with any kind of authority about like some tips and tricks about the game, or how to play this new character, or any of that kind of stuff. And so either the content becomes a bit stale because it's just, oh well, it's that same video again but with a different character kind of thing. It either becomes a bit stale like that, or it's me not really knowing enough to be of any use to help anyone kind of thing. So yeah, the how to play stuff I quite enjoy doing. I don't really enjoy doing the kind of battle report type things. Vijay saying, I'd be interested in interviews with the sculptors from Mantic, Warlord, etc. Seems we hear about the GW people, but rarely from the smaller companies. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, I'm not going to be interviewing any GW folks. I don't think they really do interviews, to be fair. I mean, it would be nice to interview them if they did interviews, but I don't think they do. But yeah, the other companies seem more than keen to be able to reach out and have a chat. I was chatting a little while ago at the Mantic Open Day when I was there on Bonfire Night with Luigi, the sculptor who sculpts for Mantic. He also sculpts for some other companies as well, and he was keen to do something like a video interview or something as well. So yeah, we'll definitely have some more of that kind of stuff. Super Pokemon says that the only easy way of filming a game is with multiple cameras, but that has its own problems. Yeah, and to be honest, that's how the studio is set up, actually, with multiple cameras to do it like that. The problem with it just comes is that you basically you can just leave all the cameras running, but then you end up with a mountain of footage and it can take days to edit it. Or the other way you do it is like when I'm switching between cameras now. Like I've done that before as well for battle reports, but again, you're constantly keeping one eye on you're not engaged in the game. This is what I find. What you need is you almost need a team of people. You need 2 people to play the game, and you need other people to basically keep an eye on cameras and like get the right shot and edit, like pull things together. That's how you would do it. But like that's what I mean is to have like a team of people doing that. You really need like the payback, getting 1,000 views or something like that, or of spending time doing that's not really worth it kind of thing. Because as soon as you're trying to do 3 or 4 things at once, I just find like the conversation goes, like the bit of like the banter between the players goes, the humor side goes. You start to forget rules, you start to make mistakes. Instead of focusing on what's happening in the game, I'm focusing at the screen over here to make sure that something's in shot. I'm checking the audio levels to make sure everything's still working. Like there's all that kind of thing. So I just think that it ends up. I think a lot of the fun and the entertainment side of thing, I think ends up goes. RPD says interviews with the TT Combat team. I've already done one, mate. I did an interview with the head honcho from TT Combat, who I believe isn't there anymore now, actually, randomly. VG says, admittedly, I've not watched many back reps recently. I tend to just watch how to players and move on. Yeah. A good series of how to play vids on the channel would be a good move if you became the go-to for minigame how to. The problem is, mate, is they just take... I thought about this, but they take so long to do, and there's not the reward for them, because I have to build and paint terrain, I have to build and paint minis, I have to learn to play the game, I have to get somebody to play the game with me and have them learn to play the game, then I have to do all the filming and stuff. And that's absolutely fine, but then, like, with the greatest of respect, I don't make enough money to kind of cover that kind of stuff. That video was never going to do enough, like payback wise, to cover the like all of that kind of stuff. Like, as a prime example, there's some videos that you will see on mini wargaming. You'll see them on that Play on Tabletop. I've seen stuff for Kings of War. I've seen stuff for Firefight. I've seen stuff for Conquest, where basically the companies have sent them painted miniatures and have paid them, basically sponsored the videos for them to play the games. That just shows that basically like how that's how those kind of things work. Otherwise, financially, they're never going to get the money back from views. All the companies are doing essentially then is they're paying for advertising, they're paying to get eyes on the games. So you'll see a lot of that kind of stuff, and people don't necessarily think of them as sponsored content, but that's exactly what they are. And VG saying, yeah, I know it's been great for Watch It Played. I think the difference with board games is you haven't got the prep work. You haven't got the painting miniatures. You haven't got the terrain stuff. The board games are generally a lot easier to learn to play, and they're certainly a lot easier to film as well. RG saying, bat reps are hard. If they're too slow, I'll switch off. The personalities matter and don't always gel with me. And if it gets too beginner-friendly rule explanation, I'll give it a miss. This is my point, mate, about how everybody wants something different. Some people really want a lot of detail, and they want rules explained, and they want to explain what they're doing each time. And I completely agree as well. I think personalities is a big part of that as well. Any gossip on Mario? Explore Novix's basic how to play videos for serious game systems, small and large, would be good. It would be a point of reference when people look around for new games. The problem is, mate, is outside of the Warhammer games, not enough people are looking for them. Like I started doing some stuff on Firefight for Mantic's Firefight, about like a box to board type thing, and I was really kind of like enthused to do them, and they absolutely bombed. Folks just didn't want to watch them. Mini Warmuts as well. Battle report videos can be a good way for background noise while painting. See, I would never put a battle report on for background noise. I'd put a podcast on or an interview, or like a documentary type stuff, or a talking head type video. Like I'd put something on that I didn't have to watch. Otherwise, it's just noise. You might as well just put the radio on at that point. Saying, yeah, I suppose comparing board game how to play videos don't even compare with the amount of time investment. Yeah, it's the stuff, it's the time invested, really, mate. That's the thing. RG saying the Watch It Played vids tend to be sponsored. Yeah, I think a lot of them do, mate. But I think when it comes to miniature gaming stuff, there are not that many companies, and they don't have a lot of money to be spending around. So what they tend to do is, if they're going to spend their money, they're going to spend their money with the likes of mini wargaming. They're going to spend their money with the likes of Play on Tabletop, because there's more eyes on it, kind of thing. Those channels are known for that kind of battle report type stuff, and especially when the company's sending them painted miniatures to play the game in the first place as well. Christian's always happy to help out with what you need for how to play videos. I do appreciate that, mate. The problem is that I have to think about it from a business perspective, and they need to earn their keep, if you like. Do you know what I mean? So there's no point me pulling in favors from friends to like paint models and stuff like that to make a video that then does 1,000 views, where in reality it would have cost me like £1,000 to get the models painted, to be able to kind of get it done. You know what I mean? Like it's not a sustainable way forward. But I really do appreciate the offer, and I will bear it in mind for certain things. RPD says it's like Fallout Wasteland Warfare. There's not much out there. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. There's not much out there because there's not many people play it, and then maybe there's not many people play it because they're not aware of it because there's not much out there. So yeah. RG says a commonly misplayed rules video for games you want to play could work, but you do need to have a really good understanding of the games. Yeah, therein lies the thing. I've done some of them in the past for things like Kill Team, and I've done them for Underworlds when those games were quite new, and I've done something similar, I think, for Warcry as well, and they do quite well. They do all right. But again, you need to know the games inside out, and it's generally for something that I'm playing quite a lot of at the time. it then becomes easier to make those videos, because it's something I feel comfortable with, and I'm not giving people duff information kind of thing. Truck Station 5 says, I used to tune into a certain channel for 40k battle reports because of the high quality and the occasional laugh, but the channel went too goofy and eventually lost me even with their high quality. Yeah, like I say, there's never one kind of battle report that everybody will love, and that's the problem. Like I say, like Ash Barker, the output that he puts out is phenomenal, but I find I can't watch any of his battle reports because I don't like that handheld camera that's kind of like moving around a lot. I get motion sickness from it. So as much as I like him, I'm not a huge, like I watch the stuff that I watch for him are his reviews of stuff, and I watch his kind of like sort of like his live stream type stuff. Like I like the guy, but I'm just not a fan of battle reports because there's too much movement, and like it's like watching a Born Identity film. Fiji saying maybe you could talk someone like the Dice Tower and become the miniatures games guy. Maybe there could be some money in that. I think they have a lot of kind of like volunteer type folks, mate, who work with them and stuff, and I don't think they really cover miniatures either. I think they've dabbled in it in the past with a little bit of, I've got a feeling they covered Marvel Crisis Protocol at one point, but I think their audience is just not even interested in the miniatures side of things. They're very much a cardboard channel, if you like. Truck Station, now I find myself focusing more on live tournament play. Yeah, and again, that was my point I was making before, is like people want to see competitive play. They want to see people knowledgeable about the game kind of going back and forth in a tightly played game. Happy New Year, Kevin Gallagher, mate. How are you doing? All the best to you as well for 23. Yeah, and to be honest, the RG and Truck Station had a bit of a chat there as well, and it's saying about 15-minute games done with 4 cameras and a commentary dubbed over the top. There's an element of that I quite like. Like when we did our God tier Creator Clash, and Mikey and I forget who else he had with him now. Oh, my mind's gone blank. And his friend, we'll say, were commentating over the games. I found that was a good way. It basically covers over the lulls. You're obviously not editing the game because it's live, so you can't cut out the quiet points. So having like sort of a commentary over the top of it, like I find works really well. But again, this goes back to what I was saying before. You need 2 people to play the game who just focus on the game. They just play, and then you need other people to either do commentary or to do kind of camera angles or to worry on the production side of things. If you think about like Play on Tabletop, I think personally they make some of the best quality battle report type videos out there for me, for the kind of thing that I like. They're highly polished. There's the bits where they're talking to the players and having the little cutaways, like chatting about what's going on, getting little insights into like the thought process. They have good overlays over the top explaining what's going on, nice close-ups. But again, that they're just leaving those 2 players to play the game, and you can see they've got multiple cameras and cameraman, or at least 1 or 2 camera persons moving around getting the shots. They obviously do like the dramatic shots and stuff where they're kind of sort of showing their armies off. I think they do a really, really good job of how to show off a battle report at its best. I don't think GW do a fantastic job on their channel because a lot of their stuff's kind of like live produced, or it was in the past. I've not seen a lot of the Warhammer Plus stuff, to be fair. I think they do, like Play on Tabletop, do the highest quality kind of visual aspect. Whether it's competitive, whether it's a bit goofy, whether the banter's interesting, I don't know, because I don't really I don't play 40k. I don't really understand those games so much, so I've watched them from a research purpose, as in what can I learn from them. But I would say that's the ones that really kind of like sort of I do like that kind of style. Tim Morton, hello mate, happy new year to you as well, and thank you for the kind words. Gary says, yeah, I agree, do a battle report right, which I've not seen, would be to film it like a sporting event, which would be way too expensive. Yeah, like if you see the thing at the moment where Goobertown Hobbies and the guy from Mini Wargaming have done that like proper over the top battle report, it will look absolutely fantastic. They've got like a professional studio. They've got like motorized cameras to do like sweep and shots and all this kind of stuff. Like they've hired a production team. They've hired cameramen. They've hired editors. They've got like monument hobbies, and they've got one-page rules to sponsor and pay for the whole thing. It will look absolutely fantastic, but then it will also show that it's just not realistic to ever do that on like you couldn't do that for every video kind of thing. It's just not practical, and it's just not like financially viable to do that. You'd need millions and millions of people to watch that video to kind of to pay it back, if you like, and that's never going to happen. Vijay says the Agents guys have started just doing live gameplays. Was their way of getting back into just enjoying the games. Yeah, I think there's an element of like not enjoying it when you're trying to do it on camera. I guess it depends on what you're trying to do it for. Like, I don't know how important the view count is to those guys. It might be very important, in which case I don't know. I don't know what the kind of views they're getting, or it might be not important at all, and it might be like a kind of an aside, and it doesn't really matter, and they're just doing it for fun, which is fantastic. Carolina Cryets and Gold Squadron did fantastic tournament streams back before the pandemic. Is that X-Wing stuff, mate? Is it? I think some of the X-Wing stuff was covered very much the way a lot of like the Magic the Gathering type stuff's covered, and I think the game lends itself to kind of very good coverage, because there's not a lot of stuff in the way, like there's no terrain in the way kind of thing. It's a very precise kind of movement type thing. It looks good from above because you can see where the path of the ships are flying about. Like the one thing with miniatures games are they look great from the side. As soon as you start looking above, it's really difficult to see what anything is anymore. Like every model kind of looks the same at that point. And yeah, Ed's saying yeah, X-Wing, yes. X-Wing looks great from above because you can see where every ship is, and you can kind of mentally map out the paths that each ship's going to do. It's a game that almost benefits from being seen top down, because that's where you can kind of see how it plays. It works really well. Most miniatures games, I think, lose something when the camera goes above. Yes, it shows the battlefield. The only other games I would say is something like kind of Kings of War or Conquest or something that's rank and flank, which again is almost a bit like X-Wing in terms of moving blocks of like units around and being able to be seen from above. But I think a lot of other games, you get that top-down view just to see where things are like on the battlefield, but you lose all kind of perspective of what those things are. Right, folks, I think we're probably going to call it a night there. We're up to 11 o'clock now, just after. My voice is drying out. My coffee is freezing cold, so I'm going to go inside the house and have a nice cup of green tea before bed, I think. Or lemon and honey tea I might have, because I can feel my voice drying out. So thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Tuning in, I should say. Was I tuning in? Thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you all have a fantastic 2023. He is wishing you all the wealth, health and happiness for yourself and your family. And I really hope that whatever kind of a year you had last year, I hope this year is much better for you as well. No matter how good it was last year, let's hope this year is a better year as well. So take care, folks. I will see you all next Monday at the live stream. If I get time to do a video, I'll do a video this week. But my plan this week really is to spend a little bit of time with my wife while she's on holiday, and Jackson while he's on holiday as well, my little boy. See my older sons before they go back to university, and kind of sort of catch up on some family stuff. So take care, folks. I will see you all next week. Thanks now.